And I think we're broadcasting, and I hope that I've figured out the audio tonight, because if I haven't figured out the audio tonight, that's going to be a real problem for me. I'm going to go ahead and here, you guys can even watch me do this part. Amazing. I am setting the video to public to announce that the live stream is starting now. I don't need these anymore. I'm just going to check out the Twitch chat really quick here and make sure that everything is hunky-dory on the audio side. Saw a flicker of liveness. Hopefully this is working. I have actually, I don't know if this is unwise or not, but I have actually turned up the streaming bitrate for tonight, so hopefully everything is okay, but there's no real guarantees about that. So here we go. I'm just gonna go ahead and expand the Twitch chat so that when we're looking at that, or Twitter, we can have a clear idea of what's going on. There we go. All right, so good evening, everyone. We've got a fantastic show planned, and by we I mean me, because I'm the only one here. And we're gonna start with I am on Facebook now. Oh, sound, hold on. Apparently there's a problem. Sound is quiet. Does anyone else have any complaints about the sound before we get started? Someone says video and sound is great tonight. Someone says sound is quiet. Sound is fine. Sound is really quiet. Sound is good. Okay, those of you with the audio low, I have a Linus Tech tip for you. You're going to want to find that dial or that button on your computer or on your device, and you're going to want to turn that up. Because if we've got some people saying it's good and some people saying it's not so good, then rather than be obnoxious and turn the volume way up for those of you who it's already fine for and like breaking your ears, let's go ahead and get the rest of you to turn it up. No, I can't pan the camera, but what I can do is I can move myself here, and then the chat box will be here, and then we can all see what's going on. So let's start with a little bit of Q&A before we get too much further into this, and let's take some questions at Twitter. Oh, check this out. I set this up. Whoa. On Twitter at Linus Tech. Actually, you know what? I shouldn't have put that there. I should have put that on the actual one that I'm using for Twitter. So I'm gonna go ahead and add that. I know I fail at graphic design, and this is not very good, but there you go. I'm gonna put that there. That way there can be no confusion about how to ask me a question on Twitter. I'm not taking questions on Facebook tonight, although I am now on Facebook. You can reach me at my Linus Tech page. There it is with my epic. How do I hide my admin control panel? There it goes, finally. You can see my epic picture of me and FPS Doug. That was about 4 years ago, I think, at this point, at Fragapalooza. And then, because you guys were trolling me so hard with the "Do you even lift, bro" meme, I decided to look it up at the end of last week's live stream. So now I have a picture of myself flexing, and it's captioned now that I cleverly understand the internet meme and all of that good stuff. So here we go. Yeah. So basically, my Facebook page is just a clone of everything that's on Twitter. So if you don't follow on, or if you already are following on Twitter, you're probably not going to see anything else there. I mean, the thing that I like about Facebook, here, maybe the baby wants to visit us for a little bit tonight. The thing I like about Facebook is that the posts are a little bit more persistent, which is very convenient, because the thing about Twitter is I can tweet something, and if you guys are following like 1,000,001 different people on Twitter, then you're going to miss a lot of the stuff. And I get a lot of questions. Like, I'll say, "Hey guys, live stream starting in an hour," and then I'll get like 6 people tweeting back at me, "When does the live stream start?" And it's because they don't really see it. So if you follow on Facebook, then it'll be a lot easier to keep track, and that should be less difficult for everybody. So my baby has decided to join us again tonight, although he's a little distracted. He's getting started on his solid foods now, so tonight he had some peas, which was very exciting for him. He's staring at the screen. He doesn't know how to look at the camera yet, but don't worry, we'll get him trained up. He'll figure out how to do this whole camera presentation thing. It's a little bit squirmy tonight, but okay, let's take some Twitter questions, because I did promise I'd do that. So 36 new interactions. What happened to the cabling guide? What do you mean what happened to... Ooh, okay, you know what? You might have to go sit with Mom. Okay, there you go. Cabling guide. Nothing happened to the cabling guide. In fact, if we go on the YouTubes, then I'm sure we can find the cable guide NCIX cable management guide featuring Ultimate AMD system with 162,000 views. So that is how you can find that one. Devin needs help to overclock his toaster. Devin, you are beyond help. I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do for you. For a boot drive and some key games, is it worth paying $35 more for the Intel 520 series or get a Vertex 4128? Great question. For a boot drive and some key games, I'm of the opinion that pretty much any modern SSD, and by modern SSD I don't mean like failed super low-end modern SSDs like an Agility 4, for example, but any modern SSD, a performance-oriented drive, you probably won't notice the difference day to day between that and any other drive. So would I pay $35 more for a 120 gig drive? With the way that 120 gig drives are priced these days, I probably wouldn't. However, I don't know if I'd necessarily go with the Vertex 4128 either. I would probably lean towards a Samsung 830 if you can still find one, or an 840, or something like a Crucial M4, just because I don't know if you've been paying any attention to sort of the stock market news with OCZ, but you know, they're going through a bit of a rough patch right now, and it's one of those things where if anything did happen to OCZ, yeah, you got a 5-year warranty on that Vertex 4. How do you claim a warranty if they don't have any more Vertex 4s to provide to you? So I don't know. I would probably go a different route. Hey Linus, why does everyone say go Intel when you look at an AMD CPU and the gigahertz and cache is way higher for less money? Roman, it's because gigahertz and cache is totally meaningless. Take everything you thought you knew about gigahertz and cache and throw it out the window. You see that window right there? That's where I would throw it, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything. What matters is the actual real-world performance of a product. You can never, ever compare one CPU to another one based on gigahertz and cache unless they're using the same architecture. So a great example of this was back in the Core 2 Duo days. You could find a, oh shoot, I don't even remember what anything, I think E4300, E6300, E6600, and then I think there might have been a different one. There were 4 CPUs that were identical in terms of architecture and frequency, manufacturing process, except for the cache. That's the only time when you can kind of do some benchmarks and figure out how they perform compared to each other and truly evaluate the value of cache in terms of performance. And then when it comes to gigahertz, totally meaningless unless they're using exactly the same architecture with the same amount of cache. So don't worry about it. Intel CPUs are higher performing, particularly for gaming, and that's just the way it is, whatever the spec is. Don't have context for this, but okay. Greetings from Croatia. Hello! Thank you for watching live. That is fantastic. Jacob asks, will there ever be a warehouse sale in Ontario? Actually, there was one once. I'm not sure if they're planning another one anytime soon, but there was one. Poachman asks, what is the best sub $70 headset? I have a good receiver. I can't really think of any headset that I'd probably recommend in the sub $70 range. Once you get up to around $100, you're looking at something like an Asus Vulcan or a SteelSeries 7H. Those are both excellent headsets, but anything sort of at that price range is going to be not that great. Matthias asks, what's my favorite 680 custom cooler? Honestly, I don't have one. I'm more of a water cooling guy, so I buy water block. Yeah. Jen P. Migneron asks, do I know a good Canadian ISP that offers bandwidth, reliability, and speed? Personally, I'm using Shaw. I like them a lot better than TELUS, although the options are completely different in the East, so that might not be relevant for you at all. My card keeps crashing when I unplug one of my displays, asks or proclaims Bartek. Bartek, why are you unplugging your displays? I guess what I'd recommend to you is keep your display plugged in. It's possible, okay, more serious suggestion. It's possible that something's shorting out when you're unplugging and plugging it in, so you might want to try being really careful, make sure your case is correctly grounded. Yeah, it's possible there's something going on. It's possible that it's a problem on the actual monitor side itself, and that's what's causing the short, and then that's what's shorting your card and causing your computer to crash or whatever else. So you want to try that monitor on a different PC, see if it still happens. Try that PC with a different monitor, see if it still happens. That'll help you diagnose the problem. Linus, I have a 6770 with an inch of extra plastic on the shroud. Can I lift it off so it fits in my Dell? Yeah, go for it. I'm assuming you mean at the back of a card, if you can just saw it off, as long as there's no heat pipes that you're gonna cut. Actually, yeah, I saw. Actually, I'm gonna see if I can find this because it's fantastic. Oh yeah, we don't want that. Let's just go ahead and pause that. We don't need that at all. So let me see if I can find it. Heat pipe cut off images. I don't remember where I saw this, but someone sent this to me where they'd taken something like a Thermalright 120 Extreme, and then to make it fit within the side panel of their case, they had cut off the entire top because they figured, oh, it's just the little knobbies at the end of the heat pipes that are causing the case to not close anymore. And of course, heat pipes don't work at all if they're not full of the fluid that gives them their heat pipe fluidness. And yeah, it sort of made me laugh. So there you go. That reminds me of that. Just don't cut up any heat pipes. The laptop I was holding was an Acer S7, and I'm going to talk more about it later in the live stream. It looks absolutely fantastic. Federico, don't do a secure erase unless you have to. The thing about secure erasing the drive is that it actually writes to the entire drive, which will wear out your drive, period. It will. The Hay asks what I think of the Nexus 4 and Nexus 7. I am a resolution guy, so the more resolution that you can throw at a problem, the better, and I'm super stoked on something like a Nexus 10. Has a more powerful GPU than we've seen before in high-resolution tablets. The one thing I don't like about high-resolution tablets right now, particularly the iPad, is that it runs significantly hotter and has a way worse battery life compared to the previous generation products. So I'm interested to see what Apple can do about that with the iPad 4. But as an iPad 2 user, I have had zero desire to upgrade to an iPad 3. Like, even if someone was like, I will trade you an iPad 3 for your iPad 2, the way that the iPad apps are getting written, it's not like there's a performance advantage or like there's certain apps I can run on a 3 versus a 2. So maybe it's a little smoother, but the chip in the iPad 2 is already pretty darn fast. So I don't actually care about the performance delta. And then for the resolution side, I don't use it as an e-reader, and I don't like how hot it runs, and I don't like how crap the battery life is. So what do I think of the Corsair 200R? Good question, Christian. Corsair 200R. Let's see how high up I am on the list. I am the first hit. So if you would like to know what I think of the 200R, you can search for Corsair 200R on the YouTube, and you can find my video and you can watch it. That pretty much covers everything I think about the Corsair 200R. It looks just outstanding now. Christopher says, wow, I like it much better watching it here on Twitch. That's good. Someone's complaining about the echo. You know what? There's nothing I can do about it right now just because my mic setup doesn't allow me to get it any closer to me, which would help us reduce the echo. Since you always talk about it, what's the best budget sound card? The answer I always give is whatever is the Zonar card that is in your price range. So there's the D, whatever it is, D something. Yeah, the DG is the best if you're going to use headphones because it has a headphone amp. And then if I was going to get something that where I needed 7.1, then something like a DS is going to be sort of so much better than onboard that it just blows it away. Whereas if you actually have a decent pair of headphones, like a really nice pair of headphones, then you're going to want to step up to something like an ST or an STX or a Phoebus. And then if you want to get a better experience running 5.1 or 7.1 speakers, something like a DX would be a better choice. Greetings back to India, of course. I'm getting a new PC for editing and rendering console gaming videos. How much RAM would you recommend? Honestly, unless you're doing anything in After Effects, anything with complicated color correction like DaVinci Resolve, anything where there's a particular need for a ton of memory, there's no reason why you can't just use Vegas Movie Studio and render videos with 4 or 8 gigs of RAM. So what I usually recommend for people who ask me about RAM is buy whatever you're comfortable with. So in this case, these days it's probably better to go with like a 2x8 gig kit. And then if it doesn't work for you, add another 2x8 gig kit and thumbs up, now you have enough RAM. So I mean, RAM's a commodity item. It doesn't really go up in price except when it does, but it hasn't done it in a very long time. So buy what you think you need and then go from there. And this goes for any application. I mean, people ask me this all the time. I want to play modern games. I want to play upcoming games. I want to do this. I want to do that. How much RAM do I need? RAM is one of those things where past a certain point, Is there an iPad 4 already? I don't know. I haven't looked at any. I'm sorry, I don't really pay that close attention to Apple. Anyway, so gaming-wise, people say, oh, you know, I want to play this game or that game, or I want to do this. RAM doesn't affect your performance past a certain point in terms of the frequency, with the exception being actually AMD's APU processors when you're using onboard graphics. So I have a video about that on the NCIX channel, NCIX APU. It's actually worth checking out. Does faster RAM really matter? This was a really cool video because what I found out is by upgrading from slower RAM to faster RAM, we were able to get like deep double digits performance improvements, like, you know, 20-30% performance improvements using the onboard graphics. So that's one case where it matters, but on most gaming machines it really doesn't make that much of a difference. And then when it comes to the RAM capacity, so that's speed, because that's all there is. There's latency and speed, which are kind of the same thing. They're very related. And then there's capacity. Capacity will make literally zero difference unless you need the RAM. So if you're able to take everything you're doing and store it within your RAM, then the system, the CPU, whatever it is, has easy access to that data, and it's all going back and forth really fast and everything's good. If you have a data set that's larger than your memory and it overflows to your page file, that's where you see that choppiness and that crappiness and that slow performance or even crashes. So you either have enough RAM or you don't have enough RAM, and it's really easy to figure out. What you do is you open up Task Manager, you look at your performance tab, and if you have 5 gigs available, like I do with this machine, obviously I could be running some more camera angles, or I could be running some more screen captures, or whatever else I need to be doing in the background. And then once I ran out of RAM, then I would have a benefit, or I would see a benefit from actually upgrading the RAM on this machine. So good question, and I hope that that was helpful to someone. All right, I don't have a sound card, thinking of getting a Corsair 1500. Yes, it's a good headset for a non-sound card setup. It's better than onboard, but it's nowhere near as good as an actual sound card. No, I haven't really looked too closely at any of the K90 giveaway videos. I had a look at a couple of them, and honestly, the ones I looked at were sort of terrible. I even said right in the video, don't just, like, you know, rage out and smash your keyboard, because you're getting most of the judgment is going to be based on creativity. For those of you who haven't already checked this out, actually, you should check this out. Welcome to. I'm doing a giveaway. If you just go to my channel, youtube.com/LinusTechTips, I'm giving away some Corsair K90 keyboards, 5 of them to the top 5 video entries, video responses. The theme is Nerd Rage, and what I said right in the video is doing what I did is not creative, and I'm judging you based on creativity. So don't do what I did. And then probably a good 3/4 of the first kind of 20 or 30 responses, which were what I looked at, were people playing a game, raging out, and breaking their keyboard. And I'm just like, that's exactly what I did. What are you doing? But yeah. My other PC keeps beeping 3 times in a long break. I know it's a memory error, but how can I fix it? David, it could be anything. If you have an integrated memory controller in your CPU, could be a dead CPU, could be a dead board, could be dead memory. So without sort of swapping those parts in and out and diagnosing it that way, there's not really a whole lot that you can do. Can you recommend the minimum requirement for a PC for recording, editing, and rendering? Andrew, it's really hard for me to do that, unfortunately, because it really depends on how you're going about it. I mean, sorry, I'm going to walk away for a second here. For example, if you're talking about recording, you could be talking about recording with something like this. In which case, the spec I'd recommend would be very different, because this has a built-in encoding engine that just doesn't really require any additional performance on the part of your PC in order to stream videos online, like on Twitch or whatever else the case may be. So if you do that, then you spend an extra $200 on that, but you might save some money on your CPU, for example. And then for editing and rendering, it really depends what you're doing. If you're doing more complicated stuff, then it's a completely different set of requirements. If you're doing really simple stuff, then it's a completely different set of requirements. The reality of it is, though, almost any new modern PC with, you know, an AMD FX processor or an Intel Core i5 and up, sort of a quad core, is going to be pretty suitable for basic use in almost anything. It's not like, you know, back in the Athlon days when, you know, you bought an Athlon single CPU machine for sort of, you know, if you were browsing the internet, or you got an MP machine with dual processors when you were going to be doing serious work. It's not really like that anymore because almost every computer has multiple cores in it now and so much RAM that it doesn't even matter. David asks, which keyboard do you use? I use a Mionix Zybel 60. I really like it. Although I'm seriously considering switching over to the G710 Plus from Logitech because those brown switches are pretty good, and I do like the additional features that are available on it compared to the Zybel 60. Hello to Belgium. What knife do I use for my unboxings and where did you get it? I got it at House of Knives at Guildford Mall, and it's a Spyderco Bug. Little knife. Very handy. Not sharp at all anymore, like, yeah, at all. But it's perfect for cutting packing tape, which is exactly what I use it for. I have not used this headset, but I've heard fantastic things about it. So based on how many recommendations I've had for this headset, I'd say, yeah, it's probably pretty safe to go for and check that out. So I'm going to transition into one of my topics here for the night. And let me just switch back to my general view. So yes, right, I am on Facebook now. So I know I might have mentioned this briefly before, but yes. So officially, I'm on Facebook now, so you should like me on Facebook and tell all your friends to like me on Facebook. And honestly, it's not an ego thing for me. It's just a matter of if it's more convenient for you to follow on Facebook because you don't use Twitter. I've had a lot of people complain, oh, I don't use Twitter, I don't want Twitter. Twitter's not as evil as you guys seem to think it is, and I do like to answer questions on Twitter. You'll see here on the Facebook page it says, do not send me private messages here, Twitter only. And I have people message me on Twitter and say, Linus, 140 characters isn't enough. I need to write you this novel so that you can answer all these questions for me. And I kind of go, yeah, man, you know, I'd love to do that, but let me show you something like that's pretty, you know, let me show you a cool story bro moment here, because if you need to know why, or if you're having trouble figuring out why I can't answer, really? The Twitter page is not gonna let, oh, here it is. Why I can't answer all of the questions that I get if they're all, you know, essay length. All you gotta do is do a search on Twitter for at Linus Tech to give you some idea of the kind of volume of messages I receive and reply to. So I think sort of tweets, all, I don't know. Yeah, I think, there you go. So how many messages does Linus receive? Sort of this many. And if Linus tried to reply to all of these, and they were all an essay this long, as opposed to being 140 characters, how quickly would he die? The answer, as you can plainly see, is very quickly. On top of that, I have the messages that I get in my inbox on YouTube. I have the messages that I get in my email, and it's just not doable. I mean, I have people send me, here's my list of specs, Linus. What water cooling stuff should I buy? And I'm just like, yeah, you know what? It's part of the rite of passage of becoming a water cooler to just do the research and figure out what to buy. I had to do it. You have to do it. And the reality of it is, I used to try to reply to all of those messages, even the ones that are like, I don't want to do any research whatsoever. I need you to tell me what PC to buy. So I'll send them back a spec list, and then they argue with me. And they're like, oh, well, my friend told me that this is better. I'm like, yeah, you know what? It was already all I could do to reply to this in the first place. I'm not going to argue with you back and forth about it. Buy the Extreme Edition if you want. It doesn't matter to me. Go for it. It's not my money. So I got to the point where I just didn't really sort of care anymore. Whereas with Twitter, you ask a quick question, I send a quick answer, I might reply again, I might not. I try to read most of them, even if I can't reply to all of them. So that's why I like Twitter. Most of the updates on Facebook will still be because I just have the two apps tied together. See, I just have like Twitter integrated, and so there's stuff like this. So if I upload something to YouTube, it automatically ports to Twitter, which then automatically points to Facebook. So that's pretty much all I'm using it for. Just other ways to interact and other ways to keep track of what's going on. So looks like a few of you liked me. Yay! That's how I evaluate my self-worth. Thank you. I win internets. So I appreciate that. Thanks, guys. Oh, right, you know what? That actually helps me transition into what one of my other topics for the night is going to be. So I don't know if you guys have seen this already, but Intel has a new Extreme Edition. So the fastest is now faster again, and it's the i7-3970X. So we're going to go ahead and search for that on the YouTubes, and we can see that there's a review of it, or start selling, or yeah, you know what? There's probably no reviews because they probably don't care. I got a couple issues with this. Number one is that they've increased the TDP again, which to 150 watts, which I guess I don't really care. It probably doesn't really matter. It probably doesn't run that much hotter because the reality of it is it's the same CPU as the 3960X. It's binned a little bit more. It's a little faster. It's 200 megahertz faster at stock speed, but if you were buying a 3960X and you weren't overclocking it, then you're probably on the bottle. So in terms of the actual temperatures and the actual performance you're going to get out of it, it's not going to make that much of a difference. I would have loved to see a 3970X that was an actual 8-core processor with 16 logical cores using hyperthreading, but that's not what Intel opted to do here. So I just wanted to take this as an opportunity to talk a little bit about the value proposition of Extreme Edition processors. Because I get people asking me all the time, whether it's on Twitter or the NCIX forum or on my email or whatever else, should I get a 3930K or should I get a 3960X? And to me the answer is very simple. I mean, the reason I'm using a 3960X in my machine is because I got, you know, the reviewer's discount on it. It's not like because I actually spent $1,000 on a CPU. I don't think that that's a very compelling value. I mean, if you're already spending $5,000 on a machine and you're getting 3-way SLI and you're getting 32 or 64 gigs of RAM or whatever you want to do, and you want to go for an Extreme Edition, you know what? If sort of the EPing factor is worth it to you, I say go for it. But personally, that's never really been how I rolled. I mean, the CPUs that I've actually bought in my lifetime are going to be 2500 plus. I bought myself a 3500 plus. I splurged and bought myself a 4400 plus X2 back at launch. That was the most expensive single computer component I ever bought. It was $700 or $800 at launch because I really believed in dual core. And then after that, I got myself an E6600, which was a much faster dual core. Then I picked myself up a Q6600. So that should give you some idea of where I was at. I was always buying sort of that value, but with the full unlocked features sort of skew. So 3930K I think is a compelling value if you can actually leverage the additional threads. Whereas 3970X, I'd say you're better off buying yourself a 3930K now, if you must have 6 cores. Buy yourself a 3930K now, and then wait for the 8 cores that are coming with Ivy Bridge E, which is coming sort of not that long from now, as far as I can tell. Well, okay, it's not soon, but it's not forever from now either. So yeah, right. So okay, right. So people ask me sort of, you know, 3930K, what do those go for? A 3930K goes for around $600. Would you spend almost double for what basically amounts to here? We can extrapolate all the data we need from something like an AnandTech review on the 3960X, because there's always a review of the Extreme Edition. Okay, so 3960X. So let's assume that a 3970X is going to be, I don't know, 10% faster, let's say. Although it's not. No, it's not even close to that. It's probably more like 5% faster. So a 3960X is conveniently not on the same graph as a 3930K. Well, whatever. Let's compare it to a 2600K. So even if our new CPU, so 2600K is, you know, 5% or 10% faster than this, we're talking about 3770, which is, you know what, it's probably better to look up the 3770. Oh, that's a preview. What? There we go, the review. They've probably got a 3960X on here, so blah, 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 blah. Really? Okay, there we go. So let's look at gaming performance just for lulz. 3930K, there we go. So 37s, if you're gaming, 3770K or 3570K, which actually performs almost the same, is definitely your best bet. Is an Extreme Edition a good value? The answer is always no. However, it is exciting that Intel's at least, pushing the envelope a little bit further in terms of performance and trying to deliver more performance for gamers or for whoever needs an Extreme Edition. Except that for gamers, overclocking a 3570K balls to the walls is going to be a cheaper platform for one thing, because you get a Z77 board instead of an X79 board, and you only have to buy 2 DIMMs of memory in order to feel like you're getting the most out of your system, although X79 can run dual channel just fine, and the performance is very similar to quad channel because of the reduced latency that counters the lost bandwidth. So you get a cheaper platform, you get a cheaper chip, you get the benefit of, like, I've always found more frequent upgrades are better as a gamer or as someone who wants to get sort of the best bang for their buck, because if you buy that super expensive Halo part and then something new comes out, there's always going to be, like, the way it always works is there's always a replacement that costs half as much and performs the same as the last generation one. Whereas if you bought that part that cost half as much but performed 85%, 80% as well, then obviously you're losing less of that value when the new parts launch. So if you want to sort of recoup as much money as you can by selling that stuff and then buying the new good value proposition part with the next generation, then you can actually take that budget you would have spent on a $1,000 CPU and stretch it over many generations, where you go, okay, let's say my budget for a CPU is $1,000. I'm going to buy myself a $300 CPU today, and then in a year, I'm going to sell that CPU for, who knows, okay, let's say $150. Let's say it loses half of its value, which they don't. 2600Ks are still worth more than half of what you paid for it. So I'm going to sell that for half what I paid, so I've essentially spent only $150 so far. I'm going to buy a new CPU for $300. I've spent $450 now, and it's a year later, and that CPU performs better than that one I would have spent $1,000 on. Then, let's say I'm going to sell that CPU, let's say I lose another $150, I buy a new CPU for $300, now we're 2 years down the line, we're talking 2 generations better performance, and I've only spent $600 already. So when people ask me, how do I configure the most future-proof gaming rig? Sometimes the answer is spend a little more. If they're saying, oh, I have $600 to spend, I need the best gaming rig, I'll say, look, you are getting terrible value by spending $600 on a gaming rig, because you're getting parts that are costing $100 but performing a quarter as well as something you could have spent $200 on and would last you longer, and will have no resale value because nobody buys used crappy hardware. Like, it's just asinine. Like, if you have a GT 440 or something and you're going to try and sell that a year or two later, oh, it's a gaming card, oh, it's Kepler, no one's going to want that. So yeah, there's that sort of that middle of the road where you need to get to a certain point before you're even getting a decent value. But then when people say, oh, if I spend twice as much, am I future-proofing more? The answer to me is no, because you could use this machine for 2 years, put that money in like a, I don't know, GIC savings account, and then spend that money again a year or two down the road and get way better performance. And then you'll have 2 machines, and you can give the other one to your little brother or something. So there, my take on the value proposition of an Extreme Edition, and I am super excited, however, for when Ivy Bridge E comes and we actually get more cores on our Extreme Editions, because as a video guy, I actually care about more cores, whereas for you gamers out there, it actually just doesn't really matter. So let's do some more Twitter questions, shall we? What do you recommend to use RAM disk for? Honestly, I've never really tinkered with RAM disk. As someone who uses 8 SSDs in RAID 0, I don't really think that my application loading times are that limited by RAM. Yes, it could be faster. It'd be cool to use a RAM disk for something like a scratch disk in like a video editing or photo editing software. However, you need a lot of system RAM for that. It'd be cool to use a RAM disk for certain key applications. I'd love to load my OS on a RAM disk, but it's just, I'd just as soon throw more SSDs at the problem, because they're not even that expensive, and RAM disk is still, cost per gigabyte, very expensive. I bought an Asus STX and a Sennheiser HD 598, and the sound quality is not that different from my X79 Rampage 4 Extreme. That is the first time I've heard that, Hussein. 95% of the people, well, okay, I'm making that number up, but I have a lot of people who tweet me and tell me, I bought a sound card, it's the best thing I ever did, I can't believe it. Yeah, I have no idea how that sort of happened about, but I'm very sorry if that was based on my recommendation. What laptop are you running right now for the stream? I'm actually not running a laptop right now. This is a, here, This is a monitor, see? So there. It's a Samsung monitor, it's a 3D monitor, it's compatible with AMD HD 3D, which I would never use because it's just not very good compared to 3D Vision, but yeah. Ryan, seriously? This was my topic like a month ago. He's talking about Greenlight program with NVIDIA, but thank you for your contribution, Ryan. What SSD would you recommend that costs between $50 and 150 Australian dollars? I have no idea, man. I'm sorry. No idea. Guys, just as a sort of just recommendation, if you want to ask me for product recommendations within a given price range, do a little research on your own. Find a product that you think might be appropriate, because that'll give me context as well. Rather than saying that costs between, 100 Great Britain pounds and 200 Great Britain pounds, it's a lot easier for me if you say, I'm looking at a Corsair, Neutron GTX, is there anything else you'd recommend? Because that already tells me what kind of a price range you're looking at. And it means that I don't have to think about the currency conversion. If you must give me a currency value, give me like Canadian dollars or US dollars, which are the ones that I can easily think in, that I already know sort of what things cost in. If I was building a workstation, I'd probably go Quadro or GeForce, but probably Quadro for CAD and Autodesk, just based on what Diesel is telling me about how awesome CUDA is. I've never really experienced it myself because I don't really do any sort of that kind of stuff. I let other people do that, but he says it's like a big deal and it's like awesome. I like your leather couch, it looks cool. Thank you, Christian. Greetings back to Australia. Hey Linus, do you recommend upgrading from an AMD 1100T to an FX 8350? If you can get a good price for your 1100T, if you can like get a few bucks back for it, then actually yeah, it's not a bad upgrade. The FX 8350, unlike the 8150, is actually tangibly faster than the 1100T. So it's not a bad upgrade. However, you're not seeing much more than sort of a one generational performance increase. The 1100T is 6 sort of full cores, whereas the FX 8350 is 4 pile driver modules, which is sort of almost like four like each module is kind of like 1.5 cores, so it's almost like 6 cores, which is sort of the same as what you have from before, except that the clock speed's different and the IPC is a little bit lower. Somebody asks if I'm unboxing an EVGA SRX. I do not have any plans to unbox one of those. They're very expensive, and I don't want to open one just for the sake of opening one. And I don't have any CPUs for them anyway, so it's not like I'd be able to do a build in it. It's not a very practical platform anyway. It's not overclocking friendly, which means that, yeah, you can load it up with cores, but really it's a workstation board posing as a gaming board, because if you can overclock, a 3770K is going to absolutely destroy an EVGA SRX with the highest end Xeon CPUs. So it just is one of those things where it's for bragging rights, but it's not really a practical platform for really much of anything. If I was going to build a workstation or a server, I'd use a proper workstation or server board that doesn't even pretend to support overclocking that much. My friend just built his first PC yesterday. When he tried turning it on, the monitor had no signal. What's wrong with it? I have a great video called No Post Diagnosis. And, well, probably helps if I type the whole thing. There you go. PC troubleshooting, no post diagnosis. Go ahead, go through all those steps and see if you can't figure it out. Build a Hackintosh. Yeah, I do want to build a Hackintosh. Actually, I even have my copy of OS 10, whatever kind of cat we're on now, on this drive. I am going to deal with it. But I haven't done it yet. I haven't gotten around to it. Yeah, the promo with the 3 free games on the 7900 series. Alex, that's a very good point. That's something we should bring up. I forget, it's Never Settle. Never Settle promo. You get Hitman, Absolution, you get Far Cry 3, you get, I don't know, one other game. We should look it up because it's a pretty cool promo. Never Settle AMD. Breon 7,000 buyers, something. Right, so you get Sleeping Dogs, Far Cry 3, Hitman Absolution, and you get 20% off the new Medal of Honor game. So that is a pretty sweet deal. If you buy a 7800 series or a 7700 series, you get Far Cry 3. So that is pretty sweet. That actually reminds me, I was thinking that I would give away a key for those 3 games on my live stream. So I would like you guys to stay tuned while I log into my email And let me just sort of get that done. Add account. Linus. Oops, I might have typed my password wrong. Nope, I got my password. Here we go. Here we go, here we go. Whoever claims it first is gonna get it. Like, that's all I have to say. Whoever claims it first is gonna get it. I don't even know how to claim it. I don't even know if this is a Steam code. So, yeah, you guys are gonna have to sort of figure out how to do this. And I am going to, yeah, someone just emailed me. They want the key. Good for you. I just deleted that email. You're gonna have to fight over it on the live stream just like everyone else. So I have decided that I will post it on Facebook. I am writing something right now on Facebook. I am going to paste the... Actually, you know what? I'm not going to do this on the stream because you guys have to go on Facebook. Linus Tech, Facebook. Haha. See, I'm totally being like a social media whore. And getting you guys to like play my little game in order to get my little giveaway. I have pasted it now. Are you ready? I am posting it. Ah! It's up there. Whoever takes it gets it. Ah! Ah! People who don't have Facebook. Oh, I'm sorry about that. Maybe next time you'll be cooler and have Facebook. No, I don't think there's anything particularly cool about Facebook. I resisted getting Facebook until now, as you guys can clearly see. But the reality of it is it has practical applications for people like me who are trying to reach people, and for people who are wondering what I'm doing to my cat, I'm playing with him. He likes it. I'm playing with his feet, which makes him happy. And I'm petting his face, which he likes. So you guys can't really... I realize that it looks sort of like censored over here, so okay, I think you guys get the point that I'm on Twitter. See, I'm just playing with his face and giving him snuggles, which he likes. He's reaching up. He's sitting on my lap. This is how he sits. Look at this. And this is the most ridiculous cat you ever saw. Just like sitting on his back like that. Like, what kind of cat is that? Now he's getting all vicious. All right, let's do some more Q&A. Anyway, yeah, it's a pretty cool promo. So I hope someone got that awesome code. And I hope you guys are gonna like me on Facebook because I am gonna do more giveaways on Twitter, on Facebook, on Twitch eventually. And so yeah, enjoy. What hell? No, sorry, Mike. I don't really have a $50 headphone recommendation. What's better, X-Fi or onboard? I'm getting a new headset and need to know what's best. You know what? I don't know what the SB0790 X-Fi is, although it's been a long time since I've recommended a creative much of anything. Get an Asus Zonar. Shout out to Finland! Oh my goodness, it's 6:14 a.m. in Finland. I am sorry to hear that, Master Yoda. Terry asks, what is the worst injury I've ever received playing badminton? That's a great question. The worst thing that ever happened playing badminton, I landed funny when I was going back for a clear, and I kind of landed on my foot sort of bizarrely, and something in here, one of the ligaments or one of the tendons or something kind of deeper inside my foot got sort of semi-disconnected or semi-horrible. Anyway, I was probably limping for 2 months, 3 months, couldn't really play. And then it was about 6 months before the pain actually went away, but it's 100% now because I've hardly had any time to play. Nikhil asks, should I go with the 7H or the 1500? Get the 7H as long as you have a decent sound card. Hello from Princeton. You had a blue quick connect in an earlier video. Who made it? Ooh, a blue quick connect? Sorry, I'm not sure what you're talking about. Sorry, Joseph. Could I run a 787 from a 450 watt PSU? As long as it's a good one, yes. You know what? That segues us very nicely into my next topic, which is how to pick the perfect power supply for your system. It seems like everyone these days wants to overbuild and overspec their power supply, thinking that it, again, that's that future-proof mentality, thinking that it future-proofs them, thinking that it might benefit them in some way. Whereas in reality, power supplies do not benefit the user at all if they are over-spec'd. So I'm going to give you guys a great example of this. I'm going to put my cat down. There you go, sweetheart. And actually, I hope I can get this out from under the table over here. got a bit of a setup issue going on right now with extracting this power supply. And I'm not trying to pick on Corsair here or anything, because great quality products, great power supplies, but this one right here is overkill for almost anything. This is actually the power supply that I threw out of the door or the window of my car that one time when I threw a power supply out of my car. So this is an AX1200i. This is an 80 plus platinum power supply, which is as close to 90 plus as we are these days. Very, very efficient, fully modular, capable of delivering, I think it's something like the entire 1200 watts on the 12 volt rail, and just like redonkulous in every possible way. What system requires something like this? Not much. You can easily power a 3770K with 16 gigs of RAM, an SSD drive, and then a storage drive, and a GTX 680. I'm talking a very high-end system with something more along these lines, which is a 550 watt 80 plus gold power supply. I'm not pitting Corsair against Seasonic here or anything like that. It's nothing like that. I'm just saying in terms of the overall spec, like what's necessary and what's not. Parts are getting more power efficient, not less power efficient. There was a time when I bought a 430 watt Entech True Power thinking that that was the biggest power supply I could possibly ever need. I was wrong. At that time, CPUs, GPUs particularly, at the time I was buying a graphics card that was high-end that had a fan this big on it and a heatsink like this big on it, whereas now we have graphics cards that are triple slot monstrosities with dual fans, and they suck back like 100 watts of power or more under load. So at that time, buying a higher wattage, a higher capacity power supply made a lot of sense. Whereas we hit sort of this plateau around the time Intel stopped going with the whole net burst thing, where power for CPUs has actually been reducing with every generation until they ramp up the core count, and then it goes up a little bit. But it's generally the trend is down. Finally, on GPUs, the trend is level or down when you look at the 6600 series and the 7000 series. So why are we overbuying on power supply? This is something that's really important to understand, guys. This is like super, super important. This right here, okay, I hope you guys can see this. I kind of doubt it. But this right here is the efficiency curve of this power supply. This is at 100% load, where you can see the efficiency is actually fallen below 90% at 100% load. At 10% load, the efficiency of this power supply is right down around 87%. Okay, so if we actually wanted to get the best efficiency possible out of this PSU, we would want to be at around 50% load. Okay, now think about that for a second. This is a 1200 watt power supply. Under load, like extreme load, that 3770K machine with the 680 probably sucks maybe 450 watts from the wall, maybe 500 watts from the wall, which means that you're only actually using around 400 to 450 watts out of the power supply, which will put you around that 30% range where the efficiency actually starts to drop off. Okay, now consider the following. This power supply will be running at idle. Modern gaming machines idle around 100 watts. Will be running at less than 10% load, which will put you at, you can see how this curve is dropping off here, so that'll put you probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 85% efficiency when you're not actually doing anything intensive, when you're browsing the web or watching videos or whatever else you're doing. So, problem? Buy a power supply that's well suited for your machine. If you are planning triple GPUs, if you are planning dual CPU, if you're going to go crazy, or you want some specific feature of a very high-end power supply. I'm using a 1000 watt power supply, but I'm using it for a very specific reason. Because it has a feature that's similar to this one, where the fan actually doesn't turn on until 50% load. That's why I'm using it, because I'm going for silence. If you want a feature like that, go ahead, buy a high-end product, but just know what you're getting yourself into. If you don't want that, buy a good quality but lower wattage power supply. This 550 watt power supply, let's see if I can find the efficiency curve on it. Really? They don't put the efficiency curve on the outside of the package? Who does that? Well, who doesn't do that? Okay, well, they're killing me here, but if I had an efficiency curve to show you from a lower wattage power supply, I would be able to show you that it will be at around 20% loaded idle, which will be significantly more efficient than that 1200 watt power supply running on the same system. And then when it's actually under load, it will be more efficient than this power supply would have been during idling. So it'll still be at, you know, around 80% load, which is going to be that point where the curve starts to decline. So there, that is my lecture on the importance of picking an appropriate power supply. If you're not really sure how much power something consumes, it's as simple as checking reviews for the product, because, you know, someone like an Anantech usually measures power consumption of the entire system, and then you can sort of extrapolate things here and there and figure out approximately how much you need. And then people will tell me too, they're like, no, Linus, I need a 1000 watt power supply because I'm going to add like 10 fans and I'm going to add 4 hard drives. I'm like, yeah, okay. Hard drives are adding maybe 5 to 10 watts per, which means if you add 4 hard drives, we're talking 40 watts here. Fans, oh man, we're talking like maybe like 2 watts, 3 watts per fan. So if you're loading it up with fans, you're loading it up with hard drives, maybe by a 650 watt. Like, don't overthink it too much here. So I hope you guys found that educational and interesting, and if you didn't, then I guess you can go tune into someone else's live stream. But people are still watching, so it seems like people are still enjoying. Some people are asking for the cat to come back. Rumble! Oh, I hear him. Here he comes. Rumble, come here. Come here, sweetheart. Come here. Good boy. Good boy. That's right. Come on. Come on. Good boy. See? Cat totally comes when I call him, sometimes, when he feels like it. So, yep, he's really... Oh, look at that. Rocket came too. Rocket doesn't always come when I call him. Hey, sweetheart. Come here. Oh, yeah. He's over there. You can't see him. Oh, no, I missed him. Okay. Well, I'm sorry. Rocket didn't manage to visit us, but it looks like Rumble's come back to settle and snuggle with us for a little bit here. So let's go back to Twitter and let's take some more questions. If you guys don't know already, I'm at Linus Tech on Twitter. I'm really hard to find. I'm totally gonna add that thing again. Wait for it. Twitter. Yes, on Twitter at Linus Tech. It doesn't let me move it. Look at this. It doesn't let me move it any lower than this, which is where I actually want to put it, and it doesn't let me move it any higher than this. So I can either cut off my face, or I can cut off Rumble's face. So what would you guys prefer? I'm gonna go to the Twitch chat for this, guys. Would you prefer I cut off my own face or cut off Rumble's face? I'm waiting for it. There's a suggestion in Twitch that I should grow a stash for Movember, but I can't because I don't have facial hair. It's a very sad thing. Okay, people want me to cut off my face, so I'm cutting off my face. It can sit on my head like that. And Linus Tech on Twitter. All right, Twitter questions. Let's scroll up where we have 1 billion new interactions. Tech this Buffalo. Okay, you are officially shouted out. Are you still using a UPS or any surge protector? Yes. I actually just acquired a new UPS, so I'm super stoked on that, and UPSs are amazing, and everyone should use a UPS because it protects your components from dirty power, which even in, you know, first world developed countries is very much present and keeps your stuff from like dying. Also, if you're like flashing firmwares or whatever else, your power can't go out in the middle of it because the UPS will keep the power on. What's the best PC headset to use with a sound card? 7H, I would argue. Although there's something really cool coming. Someone messaged me about this, I think on Facebook. Let me just check. Let me check my messages. This looks really cool. This is the wrong thing. This is my personal Facebook. Okay, so maybe now I can see. Really? Okay. How's this work? I don't really understand Facebook. Like I don't really get it. So yeah, whatever. It's like a mic that clips onto the side of your headphones. Mic, headphone, clip, no, like glue thing. I don't know. I don't know how to Google this. Yeah, there it is. I found it. It's the mod mic. Yes, mod mic. So if you get a mod mic, then you can get like a sweet pair of headphones, like something like an HD 555, which I used to use before I wanted a headset, so I had a mic permanently attached. I used to actually just wear another headset around my neck and then have the mic coming up here. So the mod mic allows you to just basically put this little attachment piece, and then it's an easily removable thing that you can put on the side of awesome headphones and turn it into a headset, and then it like just goes up like this. It's not done yet, but I've asked them to send one so that I can check it out and let you guys know if it's any good. But I'm super, super excited about that because that'll give a ton more options for what PC gamers can use for their headset when actually they can use awesome headphones and then just throw a nice high quality mic on it, because I think desktop mics are kind of lame, although Slick swears by them, so, you know, whatever. I'm not judging if you use a desktop mic. When are you doing the Silverstone F203 mini build? I'm sorry, you guys. I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll do it at some point. I'm sorry. I was wondering if you can tell me some cases that are able to house a Corsair H100 in push-pull. You know, the best thing to do is just Google it. You know, if you just kind of go, I don't know, 800D H100 push-pull. If you guys can see the autocomplete, it even auto-completed that for me, so you can see people who have it set up. Sorry, excuse me. That's the best thing to do. Figure out the cases you like and just check. See if someone else has already done it, because even the manufacturers sometimes think that you can do it and then it can't, and so yeah. Jordan asks, what do I think about the $1,500 US Murderbox MK2? Is it overkill? Jordan, I think you know the answer to that. However, one thing that I can justify about spending more on certain components, I've always believed in spending more on, once you already have a high performance computer, like once you don't get any more benefit from spending more on the parts, is I do believe in spending money on a case, especially if you have to look at it all the time. I do believe in spending money on peripherals and displays and speakers. And the reason for the case, I mean, I've probably spent a total of around $1,000 on my case at this point, between painting and treatments that I've done with it and sort of modding, and the fact that I bought a Dremel just so I could punch holes in my case. So yeah, is it outlandish? Well, yeah, but can I kind of understand it? I guess if you're going to keep it forever, then maybe, but yes, I think it's overkill. Watching your live stream from the iPad mini. Wow! That's so amazing. Thank you for watching the live stream from the iPad mini. I hope you're enjoying your iPad mini. I actually haven't had a chance to check it out yet. What do I think of the new NZXT 280mm radiator? Seems like a little reward for case compatibility. Little reward? Son, you don't know what you're talking about. Okay, 140mm only sounds a little bit bigger than 120mm, but in terms of the actual surface area available for cooling, it is night and day. And for these pre-filled liquid cooling kits these days, we are very much limited by the surface area that is available for cooling. We are not limited by the efficiency of the blocks. We're not limited by liquid flow. We are limited by how much fin we can push air through. I am super excited about this 280mm radiator because it will probably scale pretty much linearly in terms of adding more surface area, getting better performance at a lower fan noise than something like an H100. Nope, I am super stoked for that product. Flip Polizzi. Hey Linus, it's Flip. I know. Can you recommend a custom NAS box? Custom NAS with WD Red drives. Great question. Ultimate Windows Home Server. Pretty much this. This is my Ultimate Windows Home Server guide. You're going to want to get sort of a good value RAID card. You're going to, actually, with Windows 8, you don't really need one anymore, which is pretty cool. You're going to want to get something like a Fractal Design Node 304, which is the replacement for the Array R2, which is the one I show in the video. You're going to want to get a little ITX board. And you can build yourself a pretty neat little machine in a very small form factor these days with lots and lots of hard drives. So, yes. Daniel asks, why are my cats Bengals? Well, because Bengals are beautiful, and because they were born Bengals, and I liked them, so I got them. I like the markings. I think the breed is very beautiful. The general person, I mean, I did a ton of research before deciding to go with bred cats for one thing, because it was always something I kind of objected to before it was time for me to get my own cats. You know, one, for the price. I think, you know, they ask for a lot of money, but then I also understand it's a lot of work raising cats. So one, for that, and then two, for the fact that there's enough strays that, you know, why are we buying cats? And then the flip side of that from my side is that with the breeds, you don't only get the looks, but you also get certain personality traits. So I wanted cats that were super high energy. I wanted cats that were super exciting to play with, and I wanted them to be fast and athletic and just sort of, you know, really, yeah, high energy. Bengals are also extremely devoted to their owners. They get very attached. They're such lovers. Like, he'll sleep on my chest in the middle of the night. Like, I'll be laying on my back in bed, and he'll just come and he'll walk up and he'll just curl up on my chest, which is just the cutest thing ever. And so the way that I justified it to myself is I kind of went, well, okay, it's $1,000 per cat, which is a lot of money. But at the end of the day, I'm stuck with this thing. This is a commitment that I'm making for, 20 years or more. I want to make sure that I get the kind of cat that I want. I want to make sure that I have a chance to check out the cattery, which is sort of a cat breeder. I want to meet sort of his mom and dad and find out what kind of temperament they have when they're older. None of these are guarantees, but it's all things that sort of make me feel a little bit better if I'm making a commitment like that. The thing about adopting, I would adopt a dog, but I don't think I'd adopt a cat because cats tend to be very emotionally scarred when something sort of terrible happens to them. And you can adopt kittens too, I know that too, but again, it's just sort of where my comfort level was at. Did I think it was a lot of money? Yes, but if you amortize it over 20 years of the kind of companionship you get from someone like this character, then it doesn't seem that bad anymore. So that's why my cats are Bengals. I did a lot of research on the different breeds, sort of what I thought I wanted. They're very striking, which is an obvious reason why people like Bengals. They have just these beautiful, beautiful spots and coats, and they look just sort of amazing. And it's one of those things where, if you have sort of any desire for people to come over to your house and see your cats and be like, holy crap, you have such cool cats, then, I enjoy that. It's kind of neat. Everyone likes my cats. Even cat haters seem to sort of like my cats. So, Grant, I own a pre-built PC that contains a 920, but I want to build my own PC around Black Friday. Is it worth keeping? You know what? You're probably getting to the point where you're going to see some significant benefit from upgrading from a 920. On the other hand, 920 is still a pretty decent chip. Remember, it's equivalent to Linfield, a little bit slower than Sandy Bridge, which is a little bit slower than Ivy Bridge. So, especially if you overclock, it's still a very capable chip. You might want to look at maybe a graphics card upgrade rather than a CPU upgrade if you want to get the best bang for your buck. Alex asks how I like the Surface. I still love the Surface. I still think it's the bee's knees. However, I could also be sold on a form factor like this, which leads me well into my next topic, which is the Acer S7. This is like the sexiest little Ultrabook that doesn't seem to actually be an Ultrabook branded thing. And if you want to know exactly what an Ultrabook is, you can check out my video on it. It's on the NCIX channel. What is an Ultrabook? So it has like a sweet sort of brushed finish that I had a couple people in the office sort of tell me they hated, but I like it for a very specific reason. Well, I hate the iPad 2 backing, and the reason is because it's perfect. I'm going somewhere with this, don't worry. It's perfect, which means the first time you take it and put it down on a surface and someone walks along and pushes something on the counter and it scratches along there and you get a scratch on it, you're going to be like, oh, now it's not perfect. Now I need an iPad 3. Which I guess is part of the strategy, maybe. Whereas this has this kind of pattern of scratches on it that gives it a bit of a sort of neat look, but it'll also hide it if you get little scratches on it, and it won't be as noticeable and it won't look as ugly if you happen to scratch it in the future. So I like that. It is extremely thin, and I'm totally going to do it. I'm going to do the iPhone thickness comparison, but check that out. This notebook is so freaking thin. I'm going to move this a little bit closer to you guys so you can truly enjoy the thinness of this notebook. Very, very thin. See? There, I finally got it positioned right. Extremely thin, extremely light. Like, it's light enough you can almost kind of cart it around like a tablet. It's very small. See, here's the sort of Linus arm size comparison. Very small. It has real I/O and it has a real OS, unlike something like a tablet. So you've got USB 3 on this side, you've got your micro SD, you've got headphone jack. On this side, nothing. On this side, nothing. There's your power, which again is more like a tablet positioning for the power button. More USB 3, power in, and then ventilation at the back, as well as that looks like a micro HDMI out. So you've got all these real PC I/O options. You've got the flexibility of using it a number of different ways. It wakes from sleep extremely quickly, like almost all Windows 8 machines. You have a full-size keyboard. Again, the build quality isn't what I'd consider to be perfect. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but like when you when you mash on the touchpad, like it's it's a clicky touchpad. That's why it does it. Like not a design choice that I'd probably have made as the product manager, but you know, no one's perfect. Hinge feels okay. Hinge feels good. This is a metal backing. This is a metal surface here as well. The bottom is plastic, so this part of the screen is glass right up to the edge. So it just feels really, really solid on the parts where you're actually touching it, and then on the bottom you don't touch that part, so I guess it's not as much of a concern. It's got real speakers, unlike most tablets, professionally tuned Dolby Home Theater. I don't know if I'd call them home theater speakers, but I think I pressed the power button when I had it open last time. So this will give you some idea of how quickly it boots up. It also gives you that that ability to use it as a touchscreen notebook, as kind of a tablet. Because, like I said in my last live stream where I talked a lot about Windows 8 and a lot about touch, the problem with touch is that when the computer is this far away from you like a desktop, this is not comfortable. Whereas with a super small, super slim notebook like this, it's sitting on my lap, it is just as convenient for me. I'm going to try and position myself in such a way that this makes sense for you guys. But it's going to be positioned on me like this for me to comfortably use it. And if I'm using Internet Explorer, what is actually faster from a notebook usage perspective? Think about this. If you're using Windows 7, to come down to the touchpad here, figure out where the mouse cursor is, and go to the button. Remember, you're using a touchpad, not a mouse. Touchpads are slow. Or from the home row, because everything happens from the home row to go like this. What's actually faster? Touchscreen makes so much sense to me from a notebook perspective with a tiny device like this, where it becomes a very lifestyle-like device that you can really take with you anywhere because it's not much thicker than an iPhone. I think it's an 11-point-something inch screen. For those of you who are just tuning in, this is the Acer Aspire S7, and I think I'm logged into my Wi-Fi. Yeah, there we go. Oh, this is a great thread on the NCIX forum. Unboxings teach us nothing. Someone complained about my unboxing videos, and then there's a big long thread about it. Something. Anyway, so, okay, here, how about this then? So I'm browsing the site, and I want to type something. I want to type a reply. Again, what's faster from the home row from how I'm using the computer? Hitting reply. Okay, maybe that's not faster because it's a tiny button. And then going like this. Or is it actually faster to use my touchpad like this? I would argue touchscreen makes a lot of sense. I would argue this is a very freaking cool little device. And if you guys want to check something like this out, it'll actually be at the Windows 8 launch party at the Aberdeen Mall in Richmond tomorrow. So if you guys don't know about this, if you are located in the Lower Mainland, which is where I live, then I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to go to the NCIX site where there's hopefully a thread in the forum about this. Windows 8 launch party, and we are going to, I'm going to be there tomorrow. Windows 8 launch party, Aberdeen Center, Atrium Ground Level, Richmond, BC. There's prizes to be won. There's going to be exclusive show deals and all kinds of cool stuff. You can check out the event page on Facebook. I will be there from around 11:30 or 12 to around 3 o'clock, so you can feel free to come by and say hi. And we're going to have all kinds of cool devices like this, and I might bring my Surface, or I might not, I'm not sure. Because NCIX doesn't really carry them anyway, but yeah, I hope to see you guys there. So that segue done. You know what? I'm actually gonna I'll take my whole. This is my whole topic list for tonight. So I've talked about this. I have talked about this. I have talked about this. I have talked about this. Oh, I haven't talked about the Pure Ownage movie. So honestly, guys, I should preface this by saying I was never really into Pure Ownage, like really never really into Pure Ownage, but it's on Indiegogo.com. Pure Ownage, spelled with a P, which makes it obviously very easy to Google. Check this out. So these guys said they needed $75,000 to make a Pure Ownage movie. If you guys know, FPS Dog, headshot, the super enthusiastic guy. So I just thought you guys should see this. I watched some of their old stuff. I was never really into it at the time. I watched some of their old stuff. It didn't make much sense to me, but I figured you guys might care because people seem to be pretty excited about this whole thing. So the campaign starts with him sniffing the bandana that he wore as his character, and then
Awesome.
they're discussing whether they should make a Pure-Ownage movie, and
Probably
they've
got the
already
goal.
raised about double of their goal, and then there's FPS Doug, who's apparently returning for the movie. You know what? I'm going to check the Twitch chat really quick. I want to find out if the sound is moving. Someone says mute it. We can't hear you. Oh, I don't know, whatever. Sound is so loud, the sound worked, put the something, sound is loud, it's loud, okay. Sound is loud. Okay, so what I should probably do is turn the sound up on the camera and then, or maybe down on my computer or whatever else. Okay, so there's that. And then the other one that I'm actually genuinely really excited about is, shoot, what's it called? YouTube.com. Star Citizen, that's right. Star Citizen. Okay, if you guys haven't seen this on Twitter already, I posted this on Twitter. If you haven't seen this on Facebook already, go to my Facebook. It's the post, sort of. It's not that far down the page. I think I posted about it yesterday or the day before. Star Citizen. Okay, I posted about it a while ago, I think. No, this is the beginning. I don't know. It's on here somewhere. Oh my goodness. If you guys ever played Wing Commander, if you ever played TIE Fighter, if you ever played Freelancer, if you ever played any space sim games or anything like that, you guys are going to be just so freaking stoked on this. PC, okay, hold on. You have to see this part because it's all about this. It's all about this. I am a PC game. This is not some console thing like this thing. Halo. PC game. Space sim. Dogfights and space and stuff. Like, this is real in-game footage. There, pointing at it like this. This is in-game footage, guys. This is rendered in the engine. They're using CryEngine. It is going to be amazing. And there's a Kickstarter thing for it. And basically, this is Chris Roberts. This is the Wing Commander guy. He got out of the gaming scene for a while here, but he is back. And the more money he raises, the better a game he's going to build. He's actually got a chart. Google it. Star Citizen. Here we go. If you Google it, you can see the money that's been raised, the money that's that they need, and then they've got this whole chart of how much money they need to raise in order to make the game whatever. He's done a lot of work on it already. There's a couple trailers available, and it just looks absolutely fantastic. I think this is
and the other
video
thing that's
again,
nice about
showing
this,
a lot of the
cockpit operates and moves.
there'll be like a single-player mission-based thing, kind of like
throttle,
TIE Fighter,
my hands
and then
on the
there'll also be
joystick.
like a
The whole
more
idea is we're immersed
open-world
fully
type
in a
thing,
cockpit
and
that's
it's
fully
just
rendered in 3D. So if you issue
if
a
you
command,
ever cared
you hit a
about flying
button,
games,
you'll
he's
actually
using
see
a
your character doing
controller,
the
but
cockpit.
you
It's
can
all
just
for the
screw
immersion.
off and
But I think immersion is really
so if
important
you're
for me
using a
because
joystick,
I
if
think
you're
that
playing
you
a
have
space
to
sim game.
really
But,
visualize and create a very
Anyway,
believable
sorry,
world.
I'm
So
just
that's
kind
one of the
blathering
reasons why I
at this
always
point
sort of
because that is
really
very,
push the
very
visual
exciting
fidelity,
to me.
is because
You
I
guys
think
should
that
check
helps
that out,
immersiveness.
and I'm
the
not
more
saying you have to
immersive, the more
contribute or
connected you are
anything,
to the
nothing like
experience, the more
that, but
connected you are to
just
the
be aware
experience
of
with it,
this
the more
because
fun the game
if
itself
you
will
haven't
be.
enjoyed those
So,
types of games, or if
an
you haven't
example
heard
of
of them,
that
or if
is
you
if
haven't
we're
heard of
looking
this,
around at
you
our
should be aware of
character,
it, and
we
it's
can see
awesome
that
and
the
exciting.
character himself is
All right.
about 100,000 faces,
That
which is
is
about 10
that
times
topic
the
that I
default
wanted to
of
cover.
most,
Let's do a little bit
current
more
day,
Q&A, and then
AAA
I'm
games
probably
are
going to
about
sign off in
10,000
about
faces
15
or so.
minutes here.
And so that
First
just
time
allows you
watching
to have all
live
the
from
extra
Venezuela.
detail.
Thank you for
The
watching live.
wires on
Do you know if
his
Intel
pilot
chipsets
outfit,
still
the
have that
creases in the
SSD caching
uniform,
feature? Yes, they do.
and have it
Z68
really stand up
and
when you come in
Z77
close
boards
and
have
not break
SRT.
down because it's too pixely.
Best all-in-one liquid cooler, H100
So I'm really
right
excited
now,
about the
although there's a new
physics, and
one
they're
from
going to be a strong part of the
with
gameplay. So let me
280
demonstrate
millimeters of cooling
some of the
space, so that
features
one's
of how
gonna
the
be better.
physics interacts with how you control.
I use
The
Atari
ship
Laser
itself
Pen,
is built
60.
and designed
You can hear
and
just
simulated
fine. Greetings from
like a
Singapore.
real ship.
Hello.
So there's
Best
4
value
thrusters
video
on the bottom,
card, probably
and there's 4
$79.50 right
thrusters
now.
on the top, and then of
Best
course
value
there's
computer
obviously
case,
the
probably
engine on the
$200.
back. Most of the ships in this universe
Although
are
I
going to
love
fly
Fractal
very much like
Spaces,
an
the
F-35
Archimedes,
would do.
the
They're
Final
fly-by-wire,
Fantasy
so
as
they
well.
take your input as a
Would you need a
pilot
sound card for a
and
headset
crunch
like me? I
it
didn't even need
into
the rest.
trajectories and
the rest of
vectors
that
that needs to
because yes,
tell
you
the
need a sound
various
card for any
thrusters
headset. It makes
to
a big
achieve
difference.
what
Should
you've
I buy
asked
an
it to do.
Intel
So
CPU
if I want to
and buy a
rotate, or I
motherboard?
want
No.
to, say if I want to pitch, I can do
Hey,
it
what do you
now,
think about the new
or
Nexus
I'm
7? Do you
gonna
have it, or
yaw,
are you going to
I'm gonna
review it?
roll.
I do
It
not
actually
have
polls
it. I am
the
not
thrusters
going to be able
themselves
to
and says
review
how
it 'cause I
quickly
don't
can
really
you
have
rotate to the
access to
position
mobile
I need to
products at
deliver
this point
thrust,
in time.
and how much thrust can you
Looks pretty
deliver.
exciting, though.
And the thrusters
Fast chip,
talk back to the
good-looking
flight
phone.
computer and says, okay,
Any
I can
Google
get you
experience device I'm
there
kinda sold
in
on, whereas the
0.1
partner
of a
devices, I
millisecond,
don't
and I
know
give
if
you
I'm
this much
sold on,
thrust. The whole system is
because the
dynamically doing
Google
that
experienced
every
devices
single
seem to
frame
get software
and
updates a lot
flying
faster.
that way.
So
It's really cool
I would
because
tend to
what
use
happens is
Google's
a lot
own-
of
Google's own
unexpected or
hardware.
dynamic behavior happens by it. And for
What's your
instance,
system rating,
we're flying
Thomas?
around
The
in the
Windows system
dogfight,
rating
one of
thing
our
is totally
thrusters gets
meaningless, don't worry
damaged,
about it.
it will affect our
Would
maneuverability,
you
and it's
recommend
not a matter
however,
of
get
changing
at
a script
37s
or
every
data,
day.
it's actually all
Oh,
dynamically
for video editing
simulated
and
in the
playing
system.
occasional games. Okay. FX8150.
Here's a
is
really
actually
great
not a bad
example
choice.
of the
Sorry,
level of
8350,
scale, and I'm going to walk.
I'm here finally. It's 5:08 a.m. Thank you for tuning in.
Out onto the
Should I
flight
get a
deck. And as you
second
can see,
or 80?
it's huge.
Or
the
670
carrier
and get a 680.
that's in the prototype level is about 1 kilometer
Heat
in
and power
size.
consumption not important. In that
Full
case,
of,
get another 480. Unless you're running
activity
really high
and
res, in which
spaceships
case you'll need
and
more
people.
RAM and go
So
for
one of
the
the things that I'm the most
Elizabeth
excited by
asks,
is
how do you choose a motherboard?
the technology
Usually
we're
based
working
on
on is the
features. Do
ability
I
to
need
scale.
Wi-Fi
So
built
we
in? Do I
have
need,
detail for scale at a
armor?
human level. So
anything
our
from Asus
character's about
Gigabyte or
1.8
MSI
meters in
is pretty
size.
much recommended by me.
Then the same level of detail for
Linus,
a
can you
fighter
explain fan
craft that
CFM?
you'll fly,
Okay, sure, why not?
or a bigger
Fan
craft, which
CFM
say this
refers
fighter craft
to
is 27
how
meters
much
in size.
volume of air could be theoretically moved by that fan.
I'm building a
with
game
zero
in a
resistance.
universe
So basically,
that's
if you took that fan
essentially the universe in
and
the game I would like to
put
play.
it
So it's for
hanging in
gamers like
midair, and you
myself.
put a
So
bag
I
on
wouldn't
one
say
side
that
of
I'm
it,
a
that
social,
you're kind of assisting to
casual
fill
gamer
as the
that
fan
plays
blows
Farmville.
air
I
into
mean,
it.
I
You're
like
not letting any air escape
sophisticated
back.
experience.
How much?
Well, I'm
how many
picking
cubic
PC over
feet
console
of air
because
could that fan
PC
move through
was
in a minute?
what I always used to do in the past, but more
Okay.
importantly
But
is because
CFM is not
PC is
the
an open
important spec for
platform,
fans because
PC is
the
always
other
constantly
important spec
innovating.
is
I really
the
care
static
about the
pressure
PC.
rating.
I really want to
So
push the
static
PC along. I
pressure
think it's a great
is
game
how
platform.
much
I'm really
pressure
actually
could this fan
quite
exert if you actually
sad
took
and
something-
angry about the
something
situation
flat,
right now where it
put
sort of
it right
feels
up
like
against it so it couldn't
PC
move
games
any
and
air.
PC
How
gamers
much pressure would
don't
it
get
be
any
exerted?
respect.
So
It's the
those
medium
two
that is the
specs,
coolest
the CFM
and most powerful,
will
and that's
always-
really why
okay, I'm
I'm
gonna try and
focused
draw
on
a graph in
PC.
midair.
We're going to allow
Oh,
users
so
to
the CFM is
design
up
some
here.
spaceships and build
The
them and
static
submit them,
pressure-
and
the pressure
if it
is
passes
zero
the standards,
because-
then it can get sold in the ship dealers on certain planets, and maybe the person that built that spaceship will
I
be
can't
earning
remember,
money
but
from other
they're
players that think that
basically
spaceship's
sort of-
cool
they're
and
basically
want to pay them
opposed.
for
So
it. So one of the
The
things
less
that
resistance you
I
have
like
on the
about
fan
crowdfunding
in
is
question,
cutting
so
out
if it's an
the
exhaust fan at the
politics
back of your case,
and the
less
noise of
important
the
static
publisher,
pressure is
and
and the more
you're
important
dealing directly
CFM
with
is.
the people
The
that
more
want to
resistance you have,
experience
the
the
less
game you're
important
making.
CFM is.
So
and
one
the
of my
more
main goals
important
whenever I
static
make a
pressure
game
So
is
if
to
you're
really
plugging up a
immerse
fan
you
on
in
a
the world of the
radiator,
universe.
you don't even
And I think
care
you've seen that
about
on
the
what we've
CFM
been even
rating.
trying on
You
the
care about
website
the
today,
static
and
pressure
this
rating
visual
because
prototype
there's
is
so much
a
resistance to that fan that unless
demonstration
it's able
of
to
the
power
direction
the air
that
through
I
there,
want to take
it's
and
not
will
going to
be
work.
taking.
Like something
With
like a
today's
Knock
technology, I can do that to a
their
level I never
original
could have
series
done
fans. I can't remember
when
what
I
they're
was
called,
making
not the P series,
Wing Commander all those
the
years
older,
ago. or
S
even
series.
Freelancer,
They're
10
S series
years ago.
fans with the rotor that has
it's
like so
actually
much
really
space
exciting.
around
I
the
feel like I
outside
can do
that
something
it's
that has the fidelity
absolutely
of the film,
worthless if you put it
but
on a heat
real
sink
time,
or on a radiator.
and I'm in
But if you
it,
put it in an
and
open air
that is
environment,
my
it's one of the
dream.
most
My
efficient
name
and
is
quiet.
Chris Roberts, and I
one
would
of
like
the
to build
best
a universe with you.
CFM. So it's all about using the right fan. I actually did a video about this. Corsair fan NCIX or something. I don't know. I did a video about it. Yeah, there we go. This one right here, where I explained all of the different, the importance of static pressure and CFM, and I show some graphs, and I show a big, oh, I'm not even showing you guys this. I show a big fancy machine that's used to measure static pressure and CFM, and I test a bunch of fans on it, and here I'm explaining about how static pressure means there's resistance, which is sort of exactly the example I just gave now. So there you go. And yeah, that video is definitely worth checking out if you want to learn a little bit more about picking the right fans for your case. Unboxing videos give you more info about the product itself. Yes, they do if they're decent. Can you recommend a USB sound card for 5.1 surround? Not really. Forgot that you live in Canada. When is the next time you're in Silicon Valley? Probably no time soon, to be honest. How many streams can I do? Not the same stream split, by the way. You'll need gigabit Ethernet, as long as you have a powerful storage subsystem on the other side. You might want to check out my server NCIX tech tips. I did a video where I did like a quad gigabit, like redonkulous. Hold on, where is it? Ultimate home NAS setup with a 4 gigabit network connection. I think I was running 7 or 8 drives in, oh, you guys aren't seeing this again, I'm sorry. 7 or 8 drives in RAID 0 or something stupid like that, and then what I do is I run 1080p streams to like 5 computers at the same time or something like that. As long as you have the storage horsepower on the other side for it, it can be done, no problem. Planning out my loop in a C70, I want dual 240. Is it inefficient to have one intake? No, not at all. Last time eGPU, I meant external GPU. Do you have any experience by any chance? Unfortunately, not yet. I will check it out as soon as I do get a chance, though. Is it worth paying 10% more for a 3 gigabyte gigahertz VaporX edition over a gigabyte 7970? Performance difference won't be that much, especially once you're overclocking them. Touchscreen notebooks are awesome. Yes, I agree, and thank you for watching my unboxings. However, my feelings wouldn't be hurt if you watched someone else's. Let me just see if I have any more. Yes, I wanted to talk about storage spaces a little bit more. So, storage spaces. Some of the challenges that I've had with it. So if you guys aren't familiar with storage spaces already, it's a Windows 8 feature that's going to allow you to just kind of, it's kind of like the drive pool in Windows Home Server, where you just kind of chuck in drives willy-nilly. They can be any capacity, they can be any brand. You don't need a RAID card. As long as you have a SATA connection plugging into it, you can add it to it. Actually, even if you don't have a SATA connection, if you have a USB 3 connection or a Thunderbolt connection, I used Thunderbolt to add drives to a storage space today just to see if it worked, because I was curious. So you can add things willy-nilly, and you can get data redundancy, which means that it doesn't protect you from something like a virus that attacked all your files, or from something like someone formatting your entire computer or whatever, but it does protect you from physical drive failures as long as you don't have sort of too many at the same time. So you can run it in a number of different modes. You can run it in sort of a RAID 1, so single redundancy. So as long as you have at least 2 drives of the same capacity, it'll fill both of them equally with the same data, and there's really no performance benefit or problem. You can have dual redundancy, which means you need at least 3 drives, or no, at least 5 drives, 3 drives. I think at least 5, something. I forget what the limit is, but that way it makes sure that any data you write is backed up on at least 3 drives at any given time, which is kind of neat. It's like a super RAID 1. And then the other one is parity, which is a RAID 5, like a fake RAID 5 that uses a CPU instead of a dedicated RAID card. And the RAID 5 parity is the one that I was really excited about, because it calculates a parity bit, which means that if you have at least 3 drives, you'll get 2 drives worth of capacity and then 1 for parity. And then if you have 5 drives, you get 4 drives worth of capacity and then 1 for parity, and no matter almost how much you scale it. So that's cool. And then what I thought was that we were going to get really great performance out of it, even in writes, because it was going to take advantage of your CPU, which is so fast these days that you could, hammer it with RAID parity calculations and it wouldn't even care. But unfortunately, it looks like with my 4-drive WD-RED setup, and this is pretty common, I am limited to about 30 megabytes per second writes. Reads are still fine, but writes are slow. Now, writes are the challenging part of a RAID 5, because it has to actually calculate that parity, that data redundancy part while it is writing the data. It has to do it in real time. But I was really expecting a lot better than that. Another one of the challenges that I ran into is that rearranging things about the drive pool, the storage space, is not that easy. You can't actually reduce the capacity of a storage space once you've committed it. And it looks like there's some rules in terms of removing drives from the storage space without just pulling them out and rebuilding it, which is challenging to me. I don't really like that, because rebuilding an array can be one of the most stressful things you do to an array, which if you have one drive that failed and there's another one on the brink, that can be the thing that pushes that other drive over the edge and you will lose all your data. So I would have liked if there was a graceful way to manually remove a drive without just kind of pulling it out. And I sort of didn't really like that about it either. I'm still pretty excited about the feature, because it still gives people access to RAID 5 in a way that's easier and less fussy than running it even off your motherboard, and certainly off of an add-in RAID card. But I'm just a little bit less excited about it than I was before. So let's do a little bit more Q&A on Twitter. Looks like people are tuning out, so apparently they're bored of my my storage spaces talk. Oh no, last topic that you guys may or may not care about. I have a new Tech Tip Studio, so you can check this out. Oh my goodness, I have a green screen now. So I can do all kinds of cool stuff on my green screen, and then I will be using my other walls. So you can see here's the green wall, here's the blue walls, as potentially a blue screen over here if I'm wearing green and I don't want to do fancy masking and whatnot in After Effects or in whatever video suite. And then this will also be the background for NCIX Tech Tips. So we moved NCIX Tech Tips. This room I no longer have any access to. This room is dead. And we are going back to the old look. I just decided, because there were some problems with the new Tech Tips room, reflections off the glossy paint, and things weren't perfect. I'd like to get a new TV as well. that has, actually here, I can move this down now that the cat's not here. I'd like to get a new TV as well that doesn't have a reflective bezel around it because that's just obnoxious. But there was something to be said for the classic older style Tech Tips room with just the blue background. So we're going to go back to that, and I am super, super excited about the new Tech Tips room and some of the neat stuff I can do with chroma keys, and maybe I can put something else behind me or something cool like that. So we're going back to more like this style, and should be good. Should be good. I'm very excited. So there. Now we are going back to Q&A. So Q&A will be on Twitter. Please respond. I accidentally formatted my hard drive and I want to recover the file I lost. Is it possible? Yes, there are software applications that you can use as long as you didn't do like a full overwriting format. It's been a long time since I've looked into it. Most of them are pay applications, but a lot of them have previews that you can use, and what they'll do is they'll bring up a directory list and tell you this is all the stuff we can recover if you give us $50 or whatever else it is. So yes, it can be possible. I have a $2,200 budget for a gaming editing build. I've been looking at a 3930K and a GTX 680. I would probably recommend a 660 Ti or 670. They're a much better value right now, or a 7950 or 7970. The 680 is probably on the high end, the worst value GPU out there right now, just because 7970 is faster with the latest drivers from AMD, and even 660 Ti is really not that much slower. I just built my first PC and I want to overclock. What's a good load temp to stay at? On AMD, probably around 80 degrees is your max, and actually on Intel, probably 80, 85 is your maximum when you're doing an artificial stress test. How often should I replace my storage hard drive? What you should do is you should do regular backups, and then you can replace it whenever it dies, because you'll have regular backups, so it doesn't really matter. What sound card would you recommend for a media PC? I would recommend optical or coaxial out to a receiver. That would probably be the best thing, because you're going to need a pretty decent amp in order to get the kind of sound you want from a 5.1 surround system on a TV. Is Zalman a good manufacturer? Sure. Not my favorite power supply brand by any stretch. I'd go probably Antec, Corsair. I've never tried on RAID. Good question. Not something that I've done. Adrian, I'm not really an engineer. It's probably not really the right question for me. Hard to say. Depends how much you can get for those 550 Ti's, because a 660 Ti, you know what? It's probably a good value. I'd probably consider that. And no, I don't understand what that means. I'll probably have to look it up later. We lost 10 minutes of live. I forgot the other video in the background. Oh, okay, that's bad. How can I get a TPM chip? You have to buy a motherboard with a TPM chip on it. Is it possible to use RAM as video RAM? If you have onboard video, then yes. Otherwise, no. Can you use a USB as RAM? No, it's way too slow. Okay, you have to mute the sound. Yeah, we couldn't. Oh, that's probably why people were tuning out. Oh, my bad. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, oops. I just smashed my keyboard when I saw your Halo 4 copy. I'm going to the midnight launched. So stoked. Really, Alex? Should I unbox the whatever this is, the limited edition, on camera? You know what? I'm gonna let the Twitch chat decide, because I never let them say anything. What should we do? What should we do? Yes, 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 yes. Whoa, it's going way too fast for me to do anything. Okay, it looks like the bulk of them are saying yes. So we are going to do this. We're going to do this thing. We're going to unbox a Halo 4 limited edition live. Wow. And that'll cover the last sort of 3 minutes of the live stream here. So if you don't care about this, I guess you can tune out. And I'm having a lot of trouble here, so this might be worth watching. Okay, the plastic is off. And actually, I get a lot of questions about what happens to the products I unbox. In this case, one of my coworkers will actually be buying this copy that I have already unboxed. So he's putting off buying his copy of Halo 4 until he gets the unboxed one. So it's kind of tricky how this actually opens here. It seems to... yes, it slides out here. So there's the limited edition casing. We can check out the system specs, which is have an Xbox, okay? Shipwrecked on a mysterious world, faced with new enemies and deadly technology. The Master Chief returns to battle, an ancient evil bent on vengeance and annihilation. Enlist as a Spartan 4 aboard the UNSC Infinity and blah, 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 blah. Digital content, something, something. So you get 3 war game map packs, 9 max total. 9 maps total, 9 max total. Ha! We're talking about console games and max on my stream. Can you believe that? Okay, 9 maps total. Forward Unto Dawn Special Edition Live Action Series. Launch day access to 6 specializations. Unique in-game skins and emblem. Avatar Cryotube prop and Avatar Spartan armor. Cool. And then there's some cool stuff inside here. Map packs will release after launch. 4 gigs of storage required. Okay. Co-op 2 to 4, players 1 to 4. Linus, never become a voice actor. Thank you for that. Okay, so this we're putting aside. And now, in a world where this is copy 231,177. I don't feel like it's that limited at that point. We've got some like shiny text here. We got a box that's kind of folded in the corner in a very epic looking way. And we're opening it up. Oh, there's a magnet. You can tell that like something is epic and limited edition when it's shiny and has a magnet. So let's take this out. Here we go. Oh, wait for it, wait for it. Okay. The first thing we find inside is, I don't know what this is. Infinity, and it has like a metal thing binding it here, and it has like a plastic hard cover. It's supposed to be like a clipboard or something, I guess. Small though. Okay, so this is kind of translucent, very high tech. Okay, property of Spartan Gabriel Thorn. That's my middle name, actually. Gabriel. In case you couldn't tell, the letter on the next page was written by a UNSC committee that still thinks of the Spartans as a Navy project and not their own branch. Well, they wrote it, and my bosses, in a fit of play nice with the rest of them, made me sign it. But what the committee and my bosses didn't do was ship the thing out, leaving me the opportunity to add my own something. Something? Something. I don't know. One Piece. Can do it again all tomorrow. Spartan, welcome aboard the UNSC Infinity, and welcome to the next phase of your stellar career. Blah, blah, blah. You choose enlistment something, something. Infinity, mass deployment. There's like specs of like some ship or something. It's a gun. Aha, an assault rifle. If it's anything like the assault rifle from Halo 1, which is the last Halo game I played, then it probably sucks and you should just use the pistol. Although maybe they changed that. Sticky detonator. Aha. Something, something. Care for your armor. All Spartan 4 class operatives will consume a meals aboard the something, something. So there's a diet thing. Exercise regimen. For gamers. I lolled. Did you loll? Okay, moving right along. Ship R&R opportunity schedule. If you're feeling like a real show-off, you can apply for multiple specialist rankings, something, something. So you can read through all this if you really want to, I guess. There's another thing in here, which is a folded piece of paper that I actually cannot unfold. Aha, Wargame Session Summary. Okay. See, I don't understand Halo, so I don't really know what any of this is. Thorin, still looking for more, but found this on the network. If she did put the engines in this thing, then this has to be a letter to her, yeah? Well, yeah. Redacted civilians. Okay, you know what? We're done with that. Let's move right along then. Next, we have, some kind of sealed briefing thing. I'm going to open this because I don't care. Because it's just my coworker's copy of Halo 4. Dun dun dun! Attention! Aha, this has your mission briefing. Do not remove from SDEC. Read and destroy. Your mission briefing is kill all the aliens in all likelihood. Fire Team Majestic will advance on Covenant Cultist Outpost with goal of eradicating all resistance at location. Request something, something, free from worry. Okay, I better destroy it now. Actually, I'm going to put it away nicely so that my coworker can have it. Alright, we got more stuff. Gabriel Thorn, Mjolnir requisition. Really? Mjolnir? Okay. Hey Linus, stop. Everyone hates my Xbox. You know what? You don't have to watch, but you guys are all still watching. So here's your Spartan Gabriel Thorn sort of specs and stuff. Okay. Here we go. Let's put that away. And then we've got another thing here, which is like a Ziploc baggie. Okay, here we go. Halo 4, something, something. Aha, access code. You guys don't get to see this. This is for my coworker. And then there's marketplace download. Oh, okay. So this is all the stuff, all the extra stuff. And then finally, the game box itself, which has kind of a nice actual feel to it. Is this metal? Oh, cool. It's metal, contains disc 1 and disc 2, although apparently disc swapping is not an issue because you installed sort of one of them or something. The inside is all blue and stuff. Okay, and there's a thing. Okay. Guys, okay, here. Do you dare me to lick the disc before I give it to him? I'm gonna let Twitch contribute to this. I'm totally gonna do it. I'm totally gonna. What do you guys think? Should I just do it? Should I do it? One of my coworkers has to use this. Okay, I'm doing it. Okay, I'm gonna put that back in there like that. If his Xbox doesn't read it, then he'll have to watch the live stream to figure out why that happened. So we're gonna go ahead and sort of tuck this back away, and I thank you guys for tuning in to my live stream tonight. Don't forget to subscribe to Linus Tech Tips, although if you guys are really watching my live stream, you're already subscribed to Linus Tech Tips anyway. And thank you for watching, and good night.